Everybody ready? Welcome to the Oroville City Council meeting, January 17th, 2017. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Berry?
Here.
Councilmember Del Rosario?
Yes.
Councilmember Draper?
Here.
Councilmember Hatley?
Here.
Councilmember Thompson?
Here.
Vice Mayor Goodson? Mayor Dahlmeyer?
Here. Let's convene to closed session. All righty there. We're back from closed session. Action, no action taken, direction given. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Once again, welcome to all of our new city council members, and of course, it's a treat to always see our former council members in the audience, so welcome everybody. And does everybody have a clear understanding on how the equipment works? I know we didn't really have a chance to go through that. Request to speak, up on the dais, the request to speak and the voting. I'll call your name. So I see we actually have a lot of speakers here tonight. I just want to remind everybody that if you wish to speak on any item on the agenda, please fill out the blue slip on the edge of the counter. Jamie's been so kind to keep them all in order. I typically try and do that when they're up here anyway. Please limit your remarks. Come to the microphone and limit your remarks to 3 minutes because we do have a full house this evening. We do have a presentation this evening for the sign updates to the Welcome to Oroville digital sign. Bob Marciniak.
Thank you. Good evening. Well, it's been several months since the sign has been up and running, and we wanted to just take a few minutes and show you what we have. The city does have 900 spots during a month, which is about 30 per day. We picked the theme, Visit Oroville's Treasures, and we'll have Jamie kind of quickly go through 5 or 6 of them. They all have kind of the same coloring. Stott worked with us on it. They suggested that we keep a theme. And we included some of our partners like Lake Oroville, the downtown historic area, the Green Line, which people love to follow. We include special events such as a Veterans Day parade, wine tasting downtown, the upcoming State of the City address by Linda Dahlmeyer, Mayor. The major events, the first one coming up is the Wildflower and Nature Festival. And moving forward, we're picking a new theme called Discover Oroville. And I actually have probably about 30 slides that Stott will use during our time period. And with that, we just wanted to bring this quickly back to you. It's working real well. We get compliments from people, and the downtown people especially like the one that we encourage people to visit downtown.
Yeah.
Any questions?
No, I actually, I remember that we went through this for quite a while, and I'm glad to see that it was finally taken up by Stott and finished in a timely fashion. And I know there might have been some people that weren't too sure about having such a big sign there, but I think it's actually attractive and it's kind of nice. So.
Madam Mayor, if I could just add a couple things. One, again, we actually have 1,800 spaces, but again, we donated or shared with the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
So they're using it too. Also, we receive rent here, about $2,500 a year for the sign to be on our property. And again, this really is Stott Outdoor Advertising sign. We're just working with them, where our spaces or the chamber spaces aren't our actual advertisement that Stott is putting out for local businesses
Right.
and businesses throughout the region. So with that, I think it is a very good thing.
So, and just out of curiosity, do you know how much the 8 seconds is
As in a price?
per day? It's about $1,800 a month, isn't it? I mean, there's a
The
pretty
time?
big. I'm sorry?
The time of 8
Yeah.
seconds? It's kind of like sitting at that traffic light if it turns red.
What I'm saying is the cost of it, if you were to actually
Oh,
advertise. So
okay.
the value of what we get is
Oh,
tremendous.
I think the value, what we get is, I forget the MasterCard, it's priceless, right?
Yeah, right.
So, and actually, I don't know how much an 8-second slot would be. I've never asked them. So they're just, again, we are getting a value out of this that really is helping us showcase Oroville. Jamie, if you could go back to the state of the, again, this here, I believe it started today, is when this is coming. It was out today, and it will be going until February 3rd. So again, just stuff that we advertise for our business, you know, what we're doing, and the other way that we'll use this, I think, will be invaluable to the city and the things that we're doing.
And I thought that was March 3rd, so I guess I got to get on this, right? Okay, just
Okay,
kidding.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob.
All right, thank you for that. Moving on to the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull any items off the consent calendar, or I'm looking for a motion?
2 and 8, please.
With items 2 and 8 pulled, does anybody have any other questions or comments? Looking for a motion on the consent calendar?
I move we approve.
Second.
First and second voting's open. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change your vote? Voting closed.
This motion has passed.
Thank you. Item number 2, Councilmember Hatley?
Yes, this is uncollectible debt write-offs. And we went through this a year ago or so that we'd written off a bunch, and this is $76,224 out of the general, lost to the general fund by not collecting these. I understand the the bankruptcy ones, but the other ones, I mean, they go back to 2012, 13, and I thought these were cleared up the last time, but apparently there's new ones cropped up somehow.
We were advised by our city attorney that after 3 years, we can no longer collect. So when we did this about a year or even longer, it was to that point. So if you look at the years that we're writing off, 2013, we're doing the next 3 years. So we were unable to collect for this year. We left them on the books because we still had that 3-year window to collect. We can no longer collect.
And what did we do to try to collect them?
We bill these people, and the good thing about writing them off is we actually send them to a collection agency where they get a lot more aggressive than us.
And if the collection agency gets something, do we get anything in return?
Yeah, then we'll have a reimbursement. It'll be revenue to us at that point because we already wrote it off.
And that'll go back to the general fund?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments on item number 2? Looking for a motion.
This is informational only, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 8, Councilmember Hatley.
Yes, I'm looking at these two seminar, training, conferences, and here's my problem with this. We bought this SunGuard computer thing. We were sold, you know, $200,000 worth of goods on it, and then we have to keep, well, now we need this update, and now we need that update, and well, this will make it work, well, that'll make it work, and it's still not working, and now we want to send somebody with 2 people to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, and every time we send somebody somewhere, we come back and we still have a broke problem. It never gets fixed. We're just spending money, and I don't care if it comes out of the general fund or not. This is taxpayers' money. It was put in their budget maybe to go to these things, but you keep going to these conferences, and the one person, it was my understanding that's going, was hired specifically because they knew how to make this thing work. And apparently not, because now we're going to Nashville, Tennessee for it. And you can walk catty corner right across from this building to the school district over here. They have the same program, and they've been doing it for a couple of years now that don't seem to have a problem. They pay bills just like we do. They pay payroll. They do all those things, and theirs seem to work, but we can't seem to get ours to work. Now, they either sold us one that's not working correctly, or there's something else going on here as to why we can't seem to get ours in order. And we keep spending overtime out of the finance department because this was, when we bought this, it was supposed to eliminate all that. All of our troubles were gone away. And we were sold just a bill of goods, I think. And so now here we are again, wanting to spend more taxpayers' money. And I'm not going for it. I understand training, if it's mandated, that I get, but these conferences, and especially out of state, and I've said this many times before, and I'll say it again, everybody who's been here before knows this exactly my feeling on it. I will not ever vote to send another person out of state to a conference. We've sent them out of country before, and that's just ridiculous. So we're talking about we have no money, that we're trying to save money every chance we get, and yet we're turning around and gonna spend another $4,000 or $5,000. Doesn't make sense to me.
Vice Mayor Goodson.
I'd like to speak on the attachment B, which is the SUGA, if I'm saying it correctly, I believe, the 2017 conference. I'm not in favor of this expenditure at this time. Perhaps we can revisit it next year, and I'm going to share with you an explanation why. It is my understanding from doing a personal research of the SUGA conference training that much of the agenda schedule is divided into exhibits and IDEA breakout sessions. So I took the liberty of looking at what the membership benefits are, since the IT manager and the accounting technician would be paying a registration fee of $410. That amount is only offered to members. Under the membership benefit program, the member is entitled to product online, discussion groups, educational, and networking opportunities that will help an IT unit to troubleshoot and solve challenges that may arise. This is also inclusive of, in the membership, product webinars, which are high-level overviews of the SunGuard and TrackIt software. Sessions last approximately 60 minutes, and they are free. I would like to take a conservative approach to expenditures from the Technology and General Training Budget Fund for this conference year for this item.
Are we members of
We
this?
are.
We are. Any other questions or comments on item number 8? Mr. Rust, would you?
Well, all I would say is that the reason why we're sending 2 people there, one, the accounting technician is actually going to be giving a class on it because she does know so much about the system. She's actually going to give one of the sessions. She's the presenter for one of the sessions. Again, I think most of the council knows how I feel about conferences. These are needed. This is where you network with people, you learn, you understand, you help move the system forward. The SunGuard system, though, is not up and fully running. We are trying to get it to fully run. Once we do get it up and running, though that will take us, again, several years. It wasn't a, it's an off-the-shelf product, but we are customizing it to fit our city. And some of these sessions where you're going to learn how to do that. I understand the council, both council members have spoke already about being fiscally conservative. The idea is this will help us at some point in time be fiscally conservative by using the software package, though that is the council's choice on whether we send people. That's why we're here asking to go to this conference.
So I know we have a cost recovery system and stuff. Is there funds from the technology fund to pay to offset this or to pay for
A
this
portion of them,
conference?
yeah. A portion of them are, yes.
So this money is not really coming out of the general fund then?
Some of it is coming out of Tyson's general fund training budget, and the other is coming out of the technology cost recovery fee. Because
So
we're-
it's already been budgeted, and this is how you're choosing to spend it?
yes.
You mind if I say something?
Yes, Tyson.
So
go
on
ahead.
the trainings, especially with SunGuard, just so that you guys know, SunGuard is more fully functional. The piece that we were missing for the longest time, and we didn't, is a piece called workflow. And actually, after this staff report was done, they actually have finally fixed that. And one of the things I'm going to be talking to them about is also reimbursing us for that time that piece hasn't been working, because there's 3 or 4 major pieces of that software, that being one piece, and to me, that's not okay.
Right.
And so I hope to actually, with this conference, recoup a lot of that cost as well of attending it. But now that it is fully functional in all the pieces, we can finalize our configurations. And the thought that I had on going to this conference was, now that it is fully functional, being able to go there and they bring their programmers, their techs into that, and so being able to network with them and talk with them specifically about the issues that we've been having would be a benefit to be able to bring
Right.
back to the city.
And I've been to conferences like that and understand the value of being there hands-on, because especially when they bring their entire system there and they work out your problems right in front of you, so.
Right.
Councilmember Thompson?
Besides recouping the funds that you're looking at for the lost piece there, what specifically are you looking to gain by going to this conference?
A better understanding. So there's lots of different pieces to this product. It's got financial, it's got community, things like, fleet management, those types of things that are integrated. And I want to make sure that as we pull these together and really piece those, even though the program works together, we got to make sure our data can move seamlessly in between those modules. And so that's one of the pieces, but also as an ongoing upgrades, because they'll upgrade because they're hosting it, they'll upgrade our software. But knowing what those upgrades are going to entail from our standpoint, if we have any downtime or just what our piece is, but also a big piece is Track It. So this last year, Track It got acquired by SunGuard, which is a product we've been using for years. And so now that they both are part of the same company, there's in the next product line, they're talking about merging those together, which would be a big thing to where we want to have those programs talk, but it's going to cost us some extra money to create the middle piece for those two data sets to be passed back and forth. But if they're coming up with a system where they're married together anyway, that would be a huge benefit to us.
And so we can't gain that system of where they're merged together without going to the conference?
We can get it. It's just being able to talk with their techs. A lot of conferences, they just bring in people who know a lot about the product. Well, Laserfish as well as SunGuard, they actually bring the guys that are building the software, the guys that are creating it, changing it, and so being able to network with them and talk with the guys that are actually putting the software together is a huge benefit.
So with, I do software stuff, but usually they have online, you can chat with those people without having to go to a conference. So they have that capacity. I mean, we spent such a large amount of money for the software, they don't have the capacity for us to discuss or to talk to them without going to the conference? We
can talk with a certain level. It's hard sometimes over the phone to get connected to those guys that are in the back room putting those programs together. But, it is an avenue that we can look down to try and talk with.
Councilmember Draper, Vice Mayor Goodson, and then Mayor Dahlmeyer.
I was just wondering if there's not some way they could come here and assist you on site since you purchased the software through that company?
There is a way, and that's also with like this workflow issue. There's some things where we want to bring some people back because at the time that we had training, the workflow wasn't working. And so we want to revisit those trainings and have them bring their people out, not on our dime, of course, because it was not working at the time. So there is a way to get our account manager to come out, but as far as bringing the actual techs out, that they don't usually do that
Okay.
without an additional cost.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Madam Mayor, Don Rust here. Just to add a little bit to this, again, I recently talked about how the League of Cities is a place that we need to go. The conferences, I know that's not in Tennessee, but it's where we learn what people are do successes, have successes, where they've tried this and it's worked, or they've tried that and it hasn't worked. And again, at the conferences, you're going to meet people like that do that help us, understand that. And I think Tyson sort of glossed over the Track It. And not to, again, the Track It program is something that we've had since 2001, not to go that far back, but again, so SunGuard is a financial and Track It is the land use management software. That what's happening right now, they're two separate products, and ultimately in a year or so, those projects are going to merge. And as those projects merge, there could be issues or conflicts, and we want to make sure that we understand those and can fix those on site ourselves. And again, the IT manager is going there to learn to who he should be able to talk to go to those, to solve those problems. So he weaves his way through instead of getting the operator having to wait. And again, it's a way to understand how the product works better for us. And again, as we start to push out records and data from this on how we receive financials for our planning, building, code enforcement, that all will start to be seamless. Right now, it's not a seamless process. Just, it isn't. But as we start to merge these two products together and work that, it should be better. Now, is it still going to take more time? Yes, it will. It's just how software packages are until they're up and running completely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Goodson?
So my question is, for your membership due, well, if you're not able to access an answer to something that you're troubleshooting, what is the benefit of the online webinars? And my next question is, you stated that it would be beneficial to speak with the designers of the system when you go to the conference. Approximately how many people attend this conference, and what is the likelihood of you being able to address a specific concern with a specific designer and have that one-on-one approach?
Okay. As far as how many people, there's thousands. They fill up a convention center.
Exactly.
I don't know the exact number, but as far as the breakout sessions where you are in a class with some of the developers, you're talking maybe 20 or 30 people in some of these classes. There are some that are a little bit more, but I went a few years ago as we were looking to utilize this product, and the class that had the most people was probably around 30 or 40. So the classes are a lot smaller, and so you do have that a little more access to those people during those classes.
So let's say hypothetically you would be sent to this conference. Do you feel you will be going with a set of questions, a set of ideas, something that you would like to implement or be more effective in this current system now, right?
Yes.
And so you feel very confident that as a result of that conference, you're going to come back with a wealth of information and pass it down to each department.
Yes.
And we're going to be able to operate more effectively, efficiently, and expeditiously.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
So and I'm glad that she brought that up, because I have personal experience of going to platform user groups like this, and in my personal line of work, I go to a user group conference which has about 4,500 people attend. Last time I went, it was in Nashville. The breakout sessions are very valuable, but they also have user group huddles where you get together with other users that have the same questions as you, and they have technology hubs set up that by appointment all day, every day, and so you can make as many appointments as you want with these people, and it's just like going to any other conference or retreat. You come back with such a wealth of information that you can't get anyplace else, and I know some of the issues that we're having specifically, that's really the only place that you can get it done, because it takes the user brain like Tyson to go to the user groups, to get in those huddles with the workers and say, okay, this is how you solve your problem when you get home, and or they connect you with the right people there, and then not only can you fix it all there, you get home and you have that person now as your connection to make it all come together. Once again, with the technology cost recovery fees that we've done, I mean, this is the reason why we did this. And let's not forget that we had such an antiquated system for so long that what's happening with us purchasing this new software, we had just been band-aiding a system that really didn't even exist anymore. You couldn't even call on the phone and get somebody out of the dungeon that knew how to work the system that we had. We had to keep separate Excel spreadsheets on the side to do input into the system because they didn't even host the software anymore. So making sure that we're up to speed on all of this is really the only thing to do, and it's just you'd have to be there to understand that that's.
Okay.
Anyway, any other discussion on item number 8?
Madam Mayor, Ruth Wright, I just wanted to, over here. I just wanted to clarify one thing. It isn't actually a SunGuard conference. The SUGA stands for SunGuard Users Group.
Right, users
So,
group.
yeah, it's just the users, it isn't,
And that is by far, when I said I go to the user groups, it's one of the largest NetView users.
Yeah.
They have, in the industry, the insurance industry, it's just huge. Same thing here. It's a user group of probably 5,000-6,000 people, and you get a lot of benefit out of it.
yeah, and I wanted to say that the accounting technician that we're wanting to send is on the front line. She is the contact with SunGuard. She's managing all the cases. She has a really good IT background, and without her, we would be asking a lot more from Tyson. So she really does help Tyson quite a bit in that area.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So it is a user group. That's good. Any other questions or comments? Looking for a motion on item number 8.
I move we approve.
And I'll second that.
So first and second, voting's open. All votes are in. Does anybody wish to change their vote? Voting closed.
This motion has passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, public hearings, there are none. Moving on to regular business. Item number 9, Oroville Regional Water Service Review. Staff report, Mr. Rust. I also see that there's a lot of speakers here tonight on this, and there's been more speakers. If you could, please remember to keep your remarks to 3 minutes, and if somebody's already said what you wanted them to say, you could say ditto. Mr.
Right.
Rust.
Madam Mayor, council members, Don Rust for the record. Again, what we're asking here for is the resolution is requesting Butte LAFCO to provide a regional water service review of the greater Oroville area. Again, the city of Oroville is served by 3 water districts, Cal Water, or California Water Service, Thermalito Water and Sewer District, and South Feather Water and Power. Again, on April 5th of 2016, the City Council received a presentation from Jack Kiley, and other people spoke at that meeting, including Cal Water representatives, about the issue of moving forward, again, regarding the Cal Water system. The Cal Water system serves about 3,600 connection and serves about 10,000 Orvillians in the downtown areas where their district is located. What we're asking for is to do a study, a detailed scope of work that hasn't quite been worked out yet as part of the RFP. The RFP will be performed by a third-party consultant through LAFCO. A couple things about that. One is this is a recommendation, a resolution that we're going to send to ask LAFCO the commission to do this study. They could say no. I'm not sure that they will, but that's an option that may happen. Again, Cal Water has provided a letter, and again, throughout the letter, they speak specifically about eminent domain would be if an agency or a government agency wants to take them over. I believe that most of the council has been, or a couple of council members have been representative of wanting to do that. I don't think any council member that's sitting here tonight wants to take over Cal Water through eminent domain because of the process, the expense, and other issues. I believe that most council members that are in favor of this or looking for something here are looking to lower water rates. Now, how that happens, again, is to basically, whether this study solves the problem completely, I don't know, but it certainly helps add some, answer some questions. And in Cal Water's letter that is attached here, on page 4, the last paragraph, basically says, the caption above it is, the city should ask the right questions. And again, these questions should be asked. I think what Cal Water is asking for should be asked in this study. And then also, the city did a water capacity study back in 2011. And basically, I have that study here before me. I can read the purpose of the study, but the purpose of the study really was to do land use planning. That's really what the study was for, to provide, is there adequate water to serve as we move forward and expand?
Right.
Again, one of the things that we have on the books are 10,000 single-family homes. And when I mean they're on the books, it means somebody has applied for an application to build homes, and right now there's about 10,000 of them. However, the reason why they haven't been built is the market died. There wasn't any need to build homes because you would have built like Plumas Lake. I will use Plumas Lake as an example. Plumas Lake built out, and a lot of those homes sat there for a long time vacant because there wasn't the market for it. Now the market has come back a little bit. They're selling those homes. I know somebody recently purchased one down there. So again, those are happening. So the water capacity study that we did in 2011 would be a component of what the third party should be looking at. There's information that's already been gleaned here that they would use this and any other studies that are available to come up with an independent finding of fact. And what those facts are, I think, are, again, the questions that Cal Water that I just mentioned, some of the issues in our water capacity study should be looked at and provide a study. Now, whether that provides an issue for lowering rates or not, I don't know. And one of the most important things on the study is that the city will not be funding the study.
Right.
The third-party funder has called today, left a message, and I believe Ms. Hayes has spoke to them. They have indicated that they're going forward with that and are committed to funding the study. So again, this doesn't come out of the city's general fund or anything. However, again, I would think the best thing for us to do is to go forward with the study, utilize the studies that, the one study that I talked about, any other studies that are available to provide the answers or provide facts to capacity, the service of all three agencies, not just Cal Water. So again, that is my staff report and willing to answer any question. I don't know if Scott has anything to answer or add to it.
Not at this point.
Well, we have 2 Scotts and 2 Lindas now, so.
Oh, that's
you're
Mr.
talking about
Huber.
Huber or Thompson? Okay. Councilmember Thompson.
I just want to agree with what Don says. I want the community to know that this is an information request, a request for information. And there's a lot of information that's out there in the community and a lot of upset folks regarding Cal Water. I want to make it clear that the council, anybody that I've talked to, we're looking for information. There's just because if this passes, which I believe it will, because we're just looking for information, this doesn't guarantee eminent domain. This is not the first step in eminent domain. The city has a lot of issues that we're facing, a lot of budget issues that we're facing, and I appreciate the anonymous donor who's come forward with the money to go for this study, but there is a best case and there is a worst case scenario, and anybody who says otherwise has an agenda and they're not being honest. So there is a possibility if the city were to go forward with a eminent domain, it would be a slam dunk thing, as some people say. We can walk out and everybody can have cheaper water. But there's also a worst case scenario to where this could go to litigation, that it's a reality. that we must understand that is a reality. That we can't guarantee what judge we were to get if we were to take this to court. We can't guarantee what any judge would say. We cannot guarantee that. So if the city moved forward with the eminent domain, we could walk away with more debt and the same water rates. And those debts would be carried on to all citizens of Oroville, not just those in Cal Water's district. So I want to make it clear tonight that although I will be voting yes very, very clearly for we want information, but that doesn't automatically mean that this is the first step for eminent domain for the city. So I want to make sure that's clear.
I believe Mr. Huber does have something to say.
Yeah, if I might just add something. So we seem to be, there has been some discussion, and I know some people are going to bring it up, both in the public and potentially in the council as well. This has nothing to do with eminent domain. Nothing.
Right.
This is not a first step in eminent domain. This study has nothing to do with eminent domain. It's not required or even desirable if you're going to begin eminent domain. And I think that's the point you were trying to make, Councilmember Thompson, but I just want to make sure that that point is clear.
Yes.
This has nothing to do with eminent domain.
Correct.
Nothing. It is simply a study of water service, comparing the different water purveyors in the community and making an analysis of those three. And I'm not a water expert, and that's about the depth of my expertise on the study that will be done. But to say this has anything to do with litigation or eminent domain, it's like apples and oranges. They have nothing. And I think that's the point you were trying to make.
That's exactly my point. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
I just want to be clear about that.
thank you. Councilmember Del Rosario and then Councilmember Draper.
I'm going to read a statement. I want to respond to an online posting from January 6, 2017. It was taken from The Truth from the Tap. And I was cited as saying during my 2014 campaign for city council, quote, Oroville should pursue efforts to divest itself of Cal Water. Then the writer added, not in quotes, she is for a government-owned water utility takeover of the water system from Cal Water. I have previously stated from this diocese, and I now wish to make it abundantly clear, I did not advocate for eminent domain takeover of the California Water District. The city is not prepared to take on the responsibility of running a water district. We do not have the manpower, the money, the expertise to take on this responsibility. If I were asked what I am advocating for, I would tell you I am requesting that the Regional Water Review move forward to analyze the existing water purveyors of the greater Oroville area to search for lower water rates. Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Draper and then Councilmember Hatley.
Well, I'd like to reiterate what Councilmember Del Rosario has said. We are not interested in eminent domain. This city does not want to be involved in any kind of business, especially not the water business. And as Councilmember Del Rosario said, this is not our goal. Here's our goal. We want to get lower water rates for the citizens in Oroville who have Cal Water. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? We're not out to make the government in charge of Cal Water. That's not what we're after. What we're after here is decent water rates for the businesses and residents in this town. And I know there have been things that Cal Water has put out on Facebook and on the net that say that the prices that they're charging Cal Water residents are basically equal to what South Feather charges because they don't have all the different charges added in, whatever. Okay, I don't care about that. What I care about is the people in Oroville who've been suffering. We're losing economic development. We're losing real estate values right now because people are asking, is that house in Cal Water's district or do they have South Feather? They don't want to look at a house with Cal Water. Okay, so this is going to be an ongoing problem, not to mention that people can't afford to pay Cal Water's rates. So I think we need to remember Cal Water, number one, doesn't have a franchise in this city. And number two, they don't have exclusive rights to sell water here. Okay, there are 3 water companies here. And so we want to see what this study shows. It's not going to lock us into anything. It's just going to give us information. And I don't know why Cal Water is so afraid of getting the facts about the feasibility of getting us fair water rates. Thank you. That's it.
Councilmember Hatley and then Vice Mayor Goodson.
Thank you. You know, I'm all for getting information, and I don't have a problem with that part of it. And it sounds like, from what I've heard from the other some of the other council people here, eminent domain is not in any thought process that we have going forward. So I could support this resolution here if they would add in that some language, and Mr. Huber could assist us with this, as far as the city has no thought or anything to go forward with any type of eminent domain to take over Cal Water. If you put language in there to that, then I can go for this. Otherwise, then I'm starting to wonder, well, why wouldn't you want to put that in there if you don't have any reason? There shouldn't be any reason not to put that language in there, since we've all said we don't want to do eminent domain. I just think it's wrong when the government takes somebody's property that doesn't want to sell it. So even though you make fair market value, but whatever the study shows, but as long as that language could be added in some way and the council would go along with that, then I would be for the study.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Goodson.
I think the bottom line is, when we were voted in to make intelligent and well-informed decisions. And we have to do that based on criteria, based on vetted research, and there is just a plain sensibility in requesting the study.
We have a lot of public speakers. If we're going to hear everybody, can we take a motion first, since we've all agreed?
Oh, I'd like to make a motion, and if that's all right.
I second.
I second.
She hasn't made the
That-
motion.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
What happened here? Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 8572 to support the completion of a regional water service review of the greater Oroville area.
I second.
So there was about a fifth on that, and voting's open.
Hold on, why don't, before we vote,
Speakers.
Before you vote, you do need to take public
I
comment.
asked.
Well, no, you asked about, do you want public comment before the motion or after the motion?
Okay,
As far as
so
the
don't
vote,
anybody vote.
as far as the vote goes, you do need to have public comment before the vote.
Okay,
The-
I asked.
the- No,
I-
She did.
I tried.
and then is there any, again, Councilmember Hadley discussed about an addendum to or an addition to the resolution. Is that part of the motion?
No.
So you do want to take it over to eminent domain,
No,
that's
I
what you're
don't want to
saying.
take it over by eminent domain, but I don't want to also remove possibilities in the future. There is no way we can do that. You know that as well as I do.
Well, no, I don't, and that's not where we're going to go with this, but I'm sure you've got the votes to do it, and unfortunately, the people are the ones that are going to lose on this.
So I'll apologize for anybody that I took out of the loop of speaking. I thought I could finish the votes and then take it. August Lincoln.
Mayor, City Council, August Lincoln, Oroville.
Is the
I guess-
microphone on, August? Can you tell? Is it on? Okay,
Hello, yeah.
thank you.
I guess then after all, you're squabbling up here, what you should do is get a study format. Get input from the people, look at original bills from the people, plus the businesses. I know for sure that some of Feather River Recreation Park District bills from Cal Water is in the thousands. That's a fact. That's a known fact. I can imagine what Oroville Hospital, if they're connected to Cal Water, is, or the Cannery, what their water bill is. So if you get organized and get the format set in a study itself, it might be worth a study. But if you just go out there and say, well, yeah, you can't listen to what Cal Water says because, in their report, because that's what Cal Water says. There's no objections to any of the format in there. So I would recommend that the format of the study itself, before you even agree, be set in a certain way that questions can be asked so that everybody has a chance, especially the citizens of Oroville. Because if you don't get this water situation corrected, Oroville will remain brown for the rest of the season coming up. Because if you looked at last summer, Oroville was turning brown. Driving down Montgomery Street, it was brown. So as councilors of this town, it's on behalf of the citizens, it's your responsibility to make sure the citizens get what they deserve. Period.
Thank you, August. Tony Ruggles?
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Madam Vice Mayor and City Council people, members. Thank you for this opportunity to comment on this important subject. As you know, my name is Tony Ruggles and I'm the District Manager of the California Water Service area. We understand that water service, and more specifically water rates, are an important issue to you and many of the members of the community. Because of that, we appreciate the impetus behind the proposed municipal service water study. That said, the actual need for the study you are requesting is virtually non-existent. The answers to the questions that are presented in the staff report have been addressed and answered as in the public domain. For example, the California Water Service Public Utilities Commission completed a detailed review and audit of California Water Service rates, expenses, and operations, and proposed infrastructure improvement. They do that every 3 years. The answer to the questions you and Oroville residents have about the state of our water system or water rates can be found on the records of those proceedings. As always, Cal Water stands and is ready to willing to meet with City Council and staff to discuss the detailed of that Commission's outcome, which lasted approximately 18 months and was just settled in December of this last year. Given the depth and the breadth of this review process, it is extremely unlikely that a LAFCO study would uncover something that has not already been addressed by the Commission. In fact, at the estimated cost of $30,000, the LAFCO study is unlikely to be much more than a reinstatement of the information that's already made available to the public. For example, as part of our commitment to ensuring that all customers have safe, reliable water system, we regularly have a third party evaluate the conditions of our water system. These types of studies usually cost about 12 times more than the expected budget for the LAFCO study, and that is just for one of the water systems. Given this, it would make more sense for the city to work with Cal Water to review the information that is already available, and the City Council determines that the questions haven't been adequately addressed, then undertake a study that is more defined in scope. Similarly, we understand that you and your constituents have questions about the reasons why Cal Water's rates differ from South Feathers. As you know, Cal Water just released a study that answered the very question.
20 seconds, Mr. Ruggles.
I'm sorry?
20 seconds.
Okay. Cal Water released that study, and it's pretty simple. They're offset by subsidizing their rates. Our costs for doing business or operational costs are basically the same. Finally, we understand that there are some communities that believe the city and other water suppliers should take steps to begin serving Cal Water's customers that operate in our facilities. If my time's up, I will stop, but I appreciate your time. I'll just close with saying I thank you for this time this evening. It is my sincere hope that Cal Water and the city can work together to answer the questions the council and the city residents may have without having to resort to the proposed LAFCO study. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mike Jones? Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for the time this evening. My name is Mike Jones, and I'm the Cal Water's Director of Field Operations in Northern California. When Tony first shared with me the proposed resolution regarding the LAFCO study and the accompanying staff report, I was somewhat surprised. I was surprised because Tony mentioned the answers to the questions are already outlined in the staff report that's publicly available. And it is Cal Water's practice to share information with the cities it has the pleasure of serving and working with. I simply didn't understand what the overarching goal was. Cal Water provides service in dozens of cities across California, and none of them that I know of need to request a LAFCO study to work with Cal Water, or even to participate in the Commission's reviews of our rates, our expenses, and our operations. After reading the staff report a few times to determine what the city's goals were, two things stood out to me. First, the staff report indicates that the LAFCO report will be similar to a municipal service review. Second, the staff report mentions future decisions regarding water service. It was this point that things really started clicking with me. A municipal service review is a prerequisite to changing a public agency's sphere of influence. Given this, the only future decision regarding water service, as stated in the staff report, the city would need this type of LAFCO study for if it were trying to build a case for other entity trying to serve Cal Water's customers and operate its facilities. As Tony mentioned, our business, property, and service area in Oroville are not for sale. Because of this, there is only one way the city or another water supplier can come to serve our customers. That entity would have to file and win a costly, protracted, eminent domain lawsuit with Cal Water. My hope that is I am wrong on how I have interpreted the proposed resolution and accompanying staff report. After all, a government takeover of Cal Water's business is not the way to reduce water rates. Instead, it is sure to increase water rates, taxes, or both, as it has been seen in other cities in California. If a hostile government takeover of Cal Water's business and property in Oroville is truly not what the City Council is considering, then perhaps the proposed resolution should be amended to state clearly that regardless of the outcome of the LAFCO study, the city will not pursue an eminent domain lawsuit against Cal Water, as doing so would not be in this public's interest.
20
Thank you for your
seconds,
time
Mr.
this
Jones.
evening.
Thank you. Moving on, Shannon McGovern.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, members of the council, thank you for your time this evening. My name is Shannon McGovern, and I am the Community Affairs Specialist for Cal Water serving Northern California. As Mike mentioned, since there has been vocal opposition to amending the proposed resolution, I would like to offer a cautionary tale of a very real scenario that's just recently been decided upon in Los Angeles County with the city of Claremont. The city entered into an eminent domain proceeding, as a result of well-meaning policymakers who had it in their mind that the best interest of their constituents was to enter down that road. It was legally decided by a Superior Court judge that it was not in the public's best interest, and the city of Claremont subsequently now has $6 million in legal bills, and they also have been ordered to pay that water agency's water bills, and so now they have wasted $13 million of their taxpayer dollars in a misguided attempt to forcibly take a company. And obviously all of you are quite aware that Oroville simply can't afford those bills. Both the staff report and the proposed resolution indicate that a third party will be paying for this study, but neither specifically identifies this individual or this entity. We've heard that either the hospital, Oroville Hospital, or Bob Wentz, the hospital CEO, has agreed to fund the study. And we do understand that the financial straits the city is in, and it's really not uncommon for a city to enter into an agreement with third parties to fund municipal service reviews. That being said, isn't it important for the council and the public to know and discuss the full extent of this funder's other business before the city and the county? And more importantly, doesn't the public have a right to know how and when this gift of funds was secured, who requested that Mr. Wentz or the hospital make this rather significant gift? We sincerely hope that what the council, that this is not what the council is considering, as it would clearly not be in the best interest of the public. If it is the case, then we do respectfully request that you revisit and speak through the idea more of amending this to state that the city will not enter into eminent domain proceedings. In our view, this is a minor step
20
that would go
seconds,
a long
Mrs.
ways
McGovern.
towards allaying concerns in the community that the council's considering an attempt to shutter one of Oroville's oldest businesses, which would be a clear sign that the city is not pro-business. And as a point of clarification, we are one of Oroville's oldest and proudest companies that's been here since 1927.
It's your
And-
your 3-minute limit.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your time this evening.
Matt Rexroad.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Matt Rexroad, and I'm here with Cal Water as well. I have 2 items here for you tonight, one of which is a memo that your city administrator is passing around to you in regards to a public opinion survey that Cal Water completed here in Oroville over the last week. But the first item I want to start off with is I would ask you all to consider the state practice in regards to eminent domain lawsuits regarding water systems throughout the state. And Oroville may represent the fact that this is just a study. It's just a study. But the reality is, and similar to football, if a formation lines up where you set up one formation and you run right every single time, eventually the people start to feel that they're going to run right every single time. And in the practices for eminent domain lawsuits, a study like this is exactly the way these practices start, where people seek out eminent domain. So I hope you can understand that from Cal Water's perspective, this is the first step for an eminent domain effort. The memo that I think you all have now that are in front of you, and excuse me, Mr. City Attorney, I tried to get enough to have it go all around to get you, but you got one, so that's good. But one of the key things when you look at a community like Oroville or any others, many times public opinion leaders are very involved and have strong opinions about the process or the policy way forward for the community. However, when we wanted to take a look at what the overall electorate within Oroville thought, and you can see through some of these conclusions that the people of Oroville are strongly opposed to the use of eminent domain regarding the Cal Water system, and that is true of the electorate. Goodwin Simon is a credible pollster here in California. They do work all over the state of California. Cal Water is very well viewed by the people of Oroville, and they're concerned about the cost. And when we look at the issues that the people of Oroville are most concerned about, it's all the things that you all have been talking about in terms of your budget. It's public safety, jobs, and economic development, and water is not one of the issues that's the leading concern of your constituents. So I just thought I would share that, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Matt. Mr. Rexroad. Don Foltz.
I'd like to start by saying I'm not getting my paycheck from Cal Water. And all I have is 2 poems. The first one's called Goliath. Been watching the Facebook postings, Cal Water. Makes me so mad I start thinking I oughta combat their lies and bullying tactics by letting people know just what the facts is. They say not to compare our bills to our neighbors because it's likely to have us rattling our sabers. It's like apples to oranges. They smile as they caution. We say exactly that is the problem. They talk like they're just some do-gooding saints, but when I get the bill, I almost faint. We'll rue the day they bully and warn that we dared to tackle their for-profit scorn. They say we haven't a leg to stand on, but our council's a slingshot. Goliath be gone. The next one is called Cannot Be Done. Somebody said that it couldn't be done, but we with a chuckle replied that maybe it couldn't, but we'd be the one who wouldn't say so till we tried. So we buckled right in with a trace of a grin on our face. If we worried, we hit it. We started to sing as we tackled the thing that couldn't be done. And we did it. Somebody scoffed, "Oh, you'll never do that. At least no one ever has done it." But we took off our coat and we took off our hat, and the first thing we knew, we'd begun it. With a lift of our chin and a bit of a grin, if any doubt rose, we forbid it. We started to sing as we tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and we did it. There are thousands to tell you it cannot be done, Calwater. There are thousands to prophesy failure, Calwater. There are thousands to point out to you one by one the dangers that wait to assail you, Calwater. But just buckle right in with a bit of a grin, then take off your coat and go to it. Just starting to sing as you tackle the thing that cannot be done, and you'll do it.
Thank you. Excuse me, Tasha Levinson?
I also am not on anyone else's payroll. Oroville's growth right now, I think, is hampered by two things. Our poor internet connectivity, which I understand the mayor is working very strongly to try and bring improvements to, and the expensive water here. And it's roughly 4 times what South Feather charges, roughly double what Thermalito charges. These high water rates are hurting our businesses and our property values. When you have one business who has a $600 water bill competing with a neighbor with a only $150 water bill, that's not fair competition, and it really is a problem. If we don't want to condemn Oroville to having slow growth or no growth, we've got into perpetuity. We've got to do something about these water rates to make them more fair. Cal Water has an opportunity to demonstrate that it can be a good citizen, a good corporate citizen, and participate in a process that will actually bring us lower water rates. I'd really love to see them doing that instead of starting out with fear tactics. It's particularly sad to see the riverfront area that could experience wonderful growth from the Supplemental Benefits Fund money that's going to be coming in here to instead be constantly stymied by these water rates, preventing the very growth that could really be a boon to our city. Please vote for this study. We're so fortunate to have someone else who's willing to fund it right now. We're really jumping the gun to be talking eminent domain. We cannot rule it out. I hope it won't come to that. I really would love to see Cal Water participate in helping to make something that's workable for all of us so that we don't even have to look in that direction. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Celia Hirschman? And thank you, everybody, for keeping your remarks to 3 minutes or under.
Celia Hirschman. I live on Montgomery Street. I'm a Cal Water payer, and my bills have been astronomical, as you know. I tried selling my house for a year. I have one of the nicest houses, at least I like to think so, in Oroville, and I can't tell you the number of people who told me they wouldn't buy my house when they found out the water rates. I also was very active on behalf of the City Council. I represented the council and a lot of the residents in fighting the Cal Water up rate last time out. That information that they call is so publicly available is actually just more PR, as most of that poll is, as far as I can tell. Before you have a vote, I wish you had or would recuse yourself if you've received any money from Cal Water, PG&E, Thermalito, or South Feather, because all of those organizations are involved in this discussion. Whether you realize it or not, we buy our water from PG&E, not from South Feather, interestingly enough. But in fairness, none of you should be voting if you got money for your election or previous elections as public servants. I'd also like to say that Cal Water is not correct. 5 other cities that I worked with 3 years ago in California, we're objecting to Cal Water rates. Many cities are looking at what options they have, not just for Cal Water. Lots of the public companies, the private companies, have upped their rates when they changed from a flat rate system to a gallon rate system. And that's about 15 years ago, is about when this problem began to get really bad. And it is unfortunately on this city council to help these people, because our water rates are so expensive, we can't afford to live in our homes, we can't afford to sell our homes, and your businesses are going to be in trouble for it. So do the responsible thing, find out all the information, ask the tough questions, and then we'll get down to figuring out what a good solution is. I hope Cal Water's a part of it, but you know what? If they don't want to be, they don't have to be. What we don't need is a lot of BS, in my opinion. Thank you.
Let me state that Celia Hirschman is the one that drew my attention to this matter 3 years ago. Thank you, Celia.
Scott Huber, I'd like for you to address something that was just mentioned at the podium about any of us as council members ever taking any money from any of those entities. My understanding is you go ahead and explain it a little farther.
The FPPC, the Fair Political Practices Commission of the State of California has issued some guidelines as to ethics violations and what constitutes an ethics violation and what doesn't, and has issued rulings and regulations related to when a council member needs to recuse him or herself as a result of receiving donations. I think that's what you want me to address. The guideline from the FPPC is if you have received a donation in the last, I believe it's 12 months, but I can look it up pretty quickly here in just a minute. If you have received a donation within the previous 12 months, then you would need to recuse yourself. If you have a financial interest in the outcome of the vote, you would need to recuse yourself. If you, for example, if you own stock in Cal Water, you would have a financial interest in the outcome, you would need to recuse yourself. I will make the statement that if you own stock in a mutual fund and you don't know what the mutual fund is invested in and the mutual fund does own stock in Cal Water, that is actually not a violation because you own the mutual fund. The mutual fund directs what it's going to buy and sell and does so on a regular basis. You'd never be able to keep up with it. So you only have to track the mutual funds that you invest in. But speaking specifically to the donations to political campaigns, companies do it, individuals do it. Any donation you have received within, and again, I believe it's the prior 12 months of the vote, then you would need to recuse yourself from that decision.
So when it comes to the greater good of the public, that's a different scenario versus a direct connection. Is there some, we had a scenario like when it's the entire community, so like when it comes to PG&E or Cal Water, there's a bigger picture over that. So I don't want anybody getting in any trouble.
So let me use it as an example. Let me use a different scenario. If you were voting on a fee for a sewer district, a particular sewer district, if it affects 10% or more of the community, then the financial interests related to the ownership of property would not apply because it affects a substantial amount of the community.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really have anything to do with targeted donations. So if a donation is received specifically from an entity, in this instance, we're talking about Cal Water. I will.
Well, she mentioned PG&E and she mentioned Thermalito.
I'm gonna get to that in just a minute. So the issue today only deals with Cal Water. I know that Cal Water has dealings purchasing, water from other entities, PG&E, other public utilities. Those are not at issue today. The only entity at issue is Cal Water. If anyone has received a donation from Cal Water in the previous 12 months, then the ethics regulations would require you to recuse yourself from that vote.
What about if they live in Cal Water District?
That's okay. If you live in Cal Water District, because Cal Water provides service to more than 10% of the community, that
Right.
disqualification
yeah.
criteria does not apply.
Okay. Is everybody clear on that? Sue Vane?
The reason I'm here because Cal Water is, the cost of Cal Water is too high. So what I do is I just go with the rate of Cal Water, South Valley, and Thermolito that we are share in Oroville city. See, the cost of the water in a Thermolito is only 74 cents per 100 cubic feet. And the cost of South Valley is 42 cents per 100 cubic feet of water. But the cost of water for Cal Water is $2.64 to $3.33 per 100 cubic feet, and that is significant difference. So we in the Oroville, if Cal Water had the similar rate as South Valley and Thermolito, I wouldn't be upset that. I wouldn't be happy that, but that's too much. Thank you.
Alan Young?
Hello, bright and shiny new council. My name is Alan Young, 51 Ward Boulevard. Having just recently moved, I'm considered a refugee now from Cal Water rates. I used to live across the street from Celia, so we had the same problem. One thing, obviously, I'm for your resolution. Please don't water it down. Don't tie your arms behind you by adding the eminent domain portion. We don't need to go there at this point. Leave our options open. One other thing, the California Public Utilities Commission will always grant their increases, and they're becoming year after year after year forever. So think about that, and think about the people that are going to have to pay for that. I feel for them, especially since I'm away from it now. Thank you.
How much was your water bill last month?
You don't want to know.
Yeah, we do actually.
This is winter time, right? So I'm not watering yard. My last bill at Cal Water, I think, and it was before we sold the house, was I think 160. I was keeping my lawn green. It wasn't a very big lawn, and my trees, I had historic trees I had to keep alive. And I've had bills there up over $200, close to $300 at some points. I just got my bill from South Feather, and it was $17.10, of which $2.10 was the water. Thank you.
Jack Kiley?
Back again. Well, I'd like to thank the council that the mayor that appeared at the CPUC hearings to say that Cal Water was seeking an $800,000 rate increase. They got less than $20,000, so that was quite an accomplishment to that. I think the commission realizes that these rates are far out of control. Secondly, I was going to mention that it's no secret who's paying the money for the study. It's Bob Winston's in his business. He has many businesses. He probably has more investment in Oroville than anybody else, with the hospital, the Dove's Landing, and the Sportsman Club and other businesses. And he just wants lower water rates. I wish to give a message to Cal Water, take a deep breath, back off. Nobody's wanting to buy your company. I've talked to South Feather, I've talked to Thermalito, and the city. Nobody wants to buy your system. So take a look. What we are asking for is lower water rates. And that's the thing, is what the study will do is maybe they should be purchasing water from South Feather or from Thermalito. They could gravity feed the town. It's solutions like this what we're looking for that could lower the rates and get them down to where Chico. Then I can't pass up responding to Mr. Soso's study that gave you a 20-page report, which he concluded that the water rates from Cal Water and South Feather were basically the same. Matter of fact, Cal Water rates were cheaper. And that, you've got the study there. I couldn't believe the conclusion. So I asked my friend who has Foster Freeze, and he has a $655 bill, which includes RAM charges, CPU, C-fee, and under charges and stuff. And Grandy Burger and Ron's Drive-In, similar business, for that amount of water, they pay less than $100. So that's the kind of customers talk, they compare bills. And this is what we're after, is to solve this great discrepancy. And Mr. Sosa's study, I don't know why he picked on South Feather to do his comparisons with. The customers of South Feather own the system, they own the water, they don't subsidize anything. And by making money off of their hydro deal, they are to provide low-cost rates. It would be nice if we could share in those, but Cal Water's made it perfectly clear. You even think about it or anything, we'll sue you, you'll go in that. And that's not the direction they should be going. They should be looking at different things. Maybe Tony needs to take a trip to Chico and see why their rates are half what his are
30
here,
seconds,
and
Mr.
figure
Kiley.
out what they're doing right that we're doing wrong. So that is, you're getting close on my 3 minutes?
Yes.
I am, okay. But anyway, I think the resolution before you is a step in this direction. And as far as the eminent domain goes, you don't have any intention, but don't give up your options on what you can do on the water. But anyway, I wish you success. It'd be interesting to see where this study goes. But that's the kind of information we're looking for, and it can happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Is it Rachel Parker? Rochelle, thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, Council. I am thankfully not in the Cal Water District. However, I'm here to support those of my friends and coworkers that are. I want to address the truth from the tap. I want to address specifically the use of the word activist as a pejorative. There are two ways to make history in this world and a living at the same time. One is to be a politician, and the other is to be an activist. An activist is merely a concerned citizen who has decided to turn off the TV and use their democratic process to see if they can improve their way of life. It's really not a scary thing. The other thing is, what is Cal Water afraid of? If that information is out there, oh well, we just spent a whole bunch of money and we got the same information. I think they know that there's going to be other information discovered. Also, if they're so certain that this will only go the way of Claremont, take a breath. Like Jack said, relax. You got it in the bag. What's going on? Why are you so fired up? Let us get this information. We deserve it. We're working for it. We're concerned citizens, and we're allowed to do it. It's America. Thank you.
Thank you. Don Noble. We're down to the last four people, and after this, we'll take the vote, and we're going to take a short break.
Good evening. The great majority of my points have been made already, and also
Thank you, Don.
the rest of my remarks were primarily to convince you to seek out information, but I'm feeling there's a consensus about that, so I won't beat the dead horse, so to speak. I do want to deliver one of my paragraphs that I had prepared, and that is I actually see some similarities from 2 years ago with PG&E, with what's going on now, and without going into all those details as well, I'd like to point out one really clear thing, and I'm not here to vilify Cal Water. We have some wonderful Cal Water people here in Oroville. I know some of them quite well. But I would like to say that Cal Water, like PG&E, is trying to do exactly what they're designed to do. That's to turn a profit and look out for the interests of their stockholders. Large corporations like these are very effective in creating narratives that might get you to believe an alternate reality. But no matter how slick the Facebook posts are, nor how impressive their people are here in person, I think it's extremely important that we remind ourselves of the basic fact. Their bottom line is literally their bottom line. And we as public servants, by the way, I need to divulge I'm an elected official with Feather River Rec and Parks. I thought you would do that for me. In any case, we as public servants have the primary allegiance not to Cal Water, not to Lower, but to our constituents who we are serving. So thank you again. If the vote goes away, I think it is. I think you're doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Bill Bynum?
Thank you. Good to be here again. Like Don Noble, most of the things I was going to say have been said. I wanted to thank all of you for allowing us to proceed and get more information. I appreciated going to the CPUC with not just Ms. Draper and Ms. Goodson and Zario and the mayor. You all did fine presentations last spring, helped immensely. We also had former council members, Pittman and Wilcox, join us, and a lot of people out here in the audience were there as well. People are very concerned about these rates. As a member of Lower, which came out of that CPUC meeting, as a member of Lower, we would like to lower Oroville water rates. And I'm here to tell you that we've been on an education campaign, and regardless what their survey says, when I talk to people, and I went down to Walmart with Tasha, with Marlene, met Mr. Berry down there, it's almost unanimous. You talk to anybody in Oroville, they want lower water rates. I went to Cottonwood to their neighborhood watch meeting. It was unanimous. They want lower water rates. It's just, if you give people the information, they want something done. So I appreciate this tonight. And I'm also a public servant. I'm on the school board, so declare that. And I know my job there is to represent the parents and to do the best job for the kids in that school district. And your job, of course, is to do what's best for the citizens of Oroville. Not Cal Water, the citizens of Oroville. And I also have to say that this is eerily similar to 2 years ago. Cal Water and PG&E, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, they lie, they intimidate, and they bully. And that is just hard to see again. It's like revisiting a nightmare. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Dave Garcia?
Good evening. My name's Dave Garcia. I'm a concerned citizen, and thank you for letting me speak this evening. There's a comprehensive survey report by Food and Water Watch of the 500 largest U.S. water systems, the largest survey of its kind, and found that private systems charge 58% more than public systems on average. That's an extra $185 a year for a typical household. Locally controlled public water systems tend to be better all around for residents than privately owned systems. It's been seen that when communities privatize their water systems, they frequently experience problems. Privatized systems have worse service. Private companies may cut corners, respond slowly to service requests, and let existing infrastructure deteriorate in order to improve their short-term profits. Increased costs. When companies have state-sanctioned monopolies on water service, there is little incentive to keep costs down. Profit-motivated decision-making. Companies can expand and improve service where it benefits their bottom line, not where people need it most. And the fourth one is less accountability, because private companies aren't accountable to voters. the way public systems are, when problems occur, people have fewer options. So these were some of the findings from the survey. What I find appalling is the fear propaganda that Cal Water Service is using about the Claremont $13 million debacle when they were trying to make their water system public. Oroville is not Claremont, just like Oroville is not Flint, Michigan, where the city's water system was then taken over by an emergency manager, which switched the city's water source from safe Detroit water system to the polluted Flint River, all in the name of cutting costs, which typically private companies will do, which is putting money before public health and human lives. The emergency manager is currently being prosecuted for poisoning 100,000 people. So what's more frightening, the $13 million that Claremont lost, or the 100,000 people that were poisoned by lead in their water? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dawn Garcia, sorry.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for listening to us tonight. Mine's very short. I want to say ditto to start with all of those who support the informational gathering study. I do believe that you are not interested in eminent domain, and I think you said that very clearly. Unfortunately, as soon as you were finished, Cal Water got up and talked to you about eminent domain and gave us all the scary story. And I want Cal Water to know that we're tired of rhetoric and we're tired of bullying that we see on Facebook. What we're interested in is fair and lower water rates. And I have a story just of my own. I'm a resident on Yard Street. I have a native garden. It's drought tolerant with some trees and a lot of native shrubs. I don't really care about green lawns. I do really care about keeping our trees green and our parks, our trees alive in our parks. I'm a conservationist, water conservationist, and biologist, and we live in a state where we have a lot of drought, and we have for 6 years in Northern California. So one of the things I do is when I turn the water on in my home and shower,